Hello, and welcome back. We're gonna see. Yeah, okay. So, exit. Okay, so I actually did this video, and in hindsight, it was a pretty shit video, but it was really short. So, excuse the language. I did a lot of foul language this playthrough. Didn't mean to. Well, let me just kind of try to keep on track here, actually, because I think that was a major problem of what happened last time. If you haven't noticed, I have a very hard time keeping track of where I am at. This is actually nice though, because this is actually a few days later, and I kind of got to think about it. Um, so I will actually kind of just generally go through the graphs really quick, so we can see the provinces here, and um, oh man, where where do I want to get started here? So I probably wanted to. Okay, actually, before we really even bother going into the graphs, oh, I kind of had it how I in my mind how I wanted to do this, and I've kind of completely forgotten. So I think that the first thing I'm just going to say is basically jumping back to my original video and me thinking this is Garbage Nation. I I think that's a lot of subjectivity on my part. A lot of people really like the nation. The nation obviously has things to offer. Obviously, very good things if you know what you're doing with it. Um, I personally don't think it's a very good nation, and I think a lot of people overestimate it because a lot of the core comes from Dominions 3. Those are the old time players. And this was a much more powerful nation in terms of Dominions 3 to Dominions 4. I think there's a lot of subjectivity on that side of it, and I think that rubs off on the new players because when people ask about what nations are powerful, Sauromatia always comes up. And I subjectively, on the opposite end of it, look at it like, no, they're garbage. The truth is, it's probably not a garbage nation, and it's probably not a top, well, not even just top tier, but it's probably not even a like high tier nation. It's probably somewhere in the middle. 1 to 5 stars, I would honestly put it at 1. I think a lot of players would put it at 5. I think the truth is actually somewhere in between there. And that's fine. That's how each player kind of looks at it. Um, I'm not really happy with this playthrough at all. I actually took me 4 or 5 days. I don't remember how many I was recording at this point because I just basically checked out. I don't know, somewhere around the 10th video because it's not an interesting game at that point. It was somewhere around, the 6th or 7th video when I did the mid-game spiel. I'm like, well, should I even do a mid-game spiel or should I just go ahead and just delete this all and start over? And I thought, I'm like 3 hours into it because the opening intro was an hour video. And I really didn't want to start it over from that point. So I guess it's kind of my fault and my laziness that I checked out on this video. And it's also why it took me damn near a week to finish, because I no longer had any interest in the game. I knew what the conclusion was long before the game finished. In fact, I think it was around video 10. I'm like, well, if you just want to quit watching, go ahead, because there's really nothing more to do here. Obviously, if you want to see some of the spells, some of the other late game stuff, and you kept watching, you would go ahead and find those things. But that's really the truth as I saw it. I mean, the game was over. I mean, I really didn't have to I didn't have to worry about it at all at that point, which takes the fun out of the game for me personally. And that's going to happen on a map this size. Sometimes you're just going to get a dud game where, for whatever reason, they're mostly or all defensive AIs, and you're just going to sit there and be like, okay, this is boring. So I kind of do apologize for that. I hope that I kept those videos somewhat entertaining, because there's nothing going on. I mean, for half of this playthrough at all. I mean, at no point am I ever under any pressure. At no point is it really, honestly, an interesting playthrough from at least my seat here, being the one playing the Let's Play. I hope that didn't filter through too much, and I hope that it's basically not seen as the way I really felt about the entire playthrough, because I hope people enjoy it. But at the same time, if I'm not having fun and I'm basically checking out of the game and really not wanting to even finish it, that probably tells me that it's not going to be a quality Let's Play. Well, I mean, I guess I could have solved it just by not being lazy and going through and learning it. I was also, well, I guess this is a good place to mention it. The Helophagus, I'm really thinking, as I look back on it, that they are not SCs, no matter how deeply I did gear them, because they don't have the range of spells that a true SC has in order to layer defense. When I look at the fact that I use 2 sets of warrior sorceresses, and I use them as thugs, and I basically make smart attacks with them, and when I even attacked the mage province where I lost 2 of them, I pretty much said I didn't want to do that about 3 or 4 turns before, because I had a good idea what was actually already going to happen if I tried it. I just didn't want to run my army all the way back there. I think that I just really poorly utilized those Helophaguses. I think that that's can't be understated at all, because I think they are excellent thugs, but I don't think that they are raiders. Or, excuse me, I don't think they are SCs. And I think I tried to utilize them as an SC, just by pairing them up. But where's any of the defensive spells? Maybe I should have done some of them with the death version. Maybe Invulnerability and Soul Vortex would have taken care of some of these problems. The 4 blood version, there's probably not a lot I can do about that. Is there anything else that I really wanted to talk about? Yeah, I think that's most of the stuff that I really wanted to hit. And I actually just finished uploading the other one, and I kind of was thinking about it, and I'm like, that was literally a back-to-back video. I took a break, grabbed a quick smoke, and then I came back in and just hammered it out because I just wanted to be done with it. And I'm like, well, even though I just spent, the last 20 minutes or whatever downloading because my internet sucks, or uploading, excuse me, I think I'm just going to delete it and redo it if I could bring up the graph. Even if I couldn't have, maybe I would have just been like, well, whatever. Maybe we'll just talk about it without the graph. So, you can see, overall, with the graphs, we're just going to remove a lot of these nations because we don't care about most of them. It's pretty easy to see what's going on here. Here is the end of my expansion. Here is losing my province to the Indies. Here is me gaining the throne, the level 2 throne, that is. And here's where I go to war. So, just looking at it, what's the half point of the game? Probably right in here somewhere. I spent almost 60% of the game doing nothing, which I think is kind of uninteresting overall. And I think the graph really illustrates it. Considering most of well, I haven't done a lot of Let's Plays for you guys, but considering the other ones were done like year 5, and I think this one was like year 6.5, 7, somewhere in that area, it shows. So, go ahead and remove some of these. Okay, now this is not going to be 100% accurate. There's a lot of skills here overall inside the game. But I think that this is the easiest way to illustrate why, when I'm doing the setup, I think graphs are bullshit, basically. Because if you know how to read this, it's very easy. Obviously, they were next to me, I could see the war. But you don't actually have to have that. Okay, so when we come to here, we're noticing a one province to one province. Stays across, stays across. Now they lose one here, but that easily could have been the Skells. And then you just watch it mirror it across here over many, many turns, and you can see who's taking property, who's losing property, etc., etc. Obviously, there's going to be some flukes in here, a lot of misfortune skills that game, so that might be where some of these are lost, etc. Obviously, this, like right here, does not mirror this. But if you really get into the point where you can read the graphs a little bit better, you just really don't need a lot of scouts. That's why I don't care for them, not in the slightest. So overall power, though, I am way behind TNN as far as total provinces go. Not a big surprise there. Forts, I'm going to obviously be so far ahead of everybody else that it's not even funny. Again, right in this area is where I go to war with Yomi. I don't know, somewhere right in here. And that's where I start taking forts from them, so I am way ahead of them. I actually don't suggest you spam forts out like this. I think that that's probably where a lot of the problems come from the nation. Because I have trouble seeing that this nation literally has 0 wins in multiplayer. I would think that somebody with enough experience would at least get in a game against some people with maybe not as much experience and be able to pull out a win with this. And I'm really wondering if people just aren't playing the nation sort of like I'm playing it, which might be extremely wrong in the multiplayer realm. I'm not sure you can throw that much money into infrastructure and still come out with enough troops to fight any wars that you need. You really got to realize that's many thousands of gold that I could have put into troops for a war not too long into the game. And it's not that I probably would not always surround my cap with extra forts, because I would. Beyond that, do I really want other forts with a bunch of satellites on it like I did? Honestly, I'm going to say probably not. I probably want a few other forts with actual full, real infrastructure in them to produce the mages that are going to be the backbones of my armies, and try to scale myself into the late game, obviously with the soothsayers. Take that as you will. That's, again, entirely personal and subjective, because I really do not feel this nation's good. Income, obviously, pretty easy to see. I can't believe Yomi was topping me at some points, but yeah, that happened. So gyms, here's another area where I kind of emphasized at the beginning of the game. And just looking at the graph here, you're going to say, well, that, honestly doesn't look too bad. And you're semi-right here. But you have to realize what this right here is, because this is very important in the overall gym income right here. This is where I pick up the lower throne. This is going to count as, yes, 5 gems that I get all from that single throne. As well, this is a throne. This is a throne. Well, those are the 2 events from the thrones, because I hadn't started site searching yet. There's the lower throne right there. And what do you know? There's my other throne. Okay, that's your gem income right, basically, right from here. When did I flatline and start attacking Yomi? To right about here. Basically, my gems were doubled, if you look at this graph, overall, due to 2 thrones. That's it, and the events off of the Throne of Winter, obviously, which is not insignificant in any way. Again, though, I think this is a very key point, is I don't overemphasize thugs a lot, and I, with this nation, really emphasize infrastructure. If you're probably playing it multiplayer, again, not fort spamming so much, you're probably going to try to get your site searchers out quite a bit sooner than I did. Quite a bit sooner, which means that at least, even though you have a small gym income, it should fall into line earlier on the timeline, because it's pretty far into the timeline when I actually start site searching. I think those are both very, very valid points as a criticism against the way I play the nation, even though that's pretty much what I find to be, for me, the optimal way to play the nation. But I do think it's something that's very valid and should be talked about. You could probably not increase the number of gyms you have overall, because I don't think that this nation gets a lot of gyms. I'm still standing by that 100%. But by moving basically this point back in the timeline here, into the end of the first year, beginning of the second, you've dramatically increased your income for thugs and things like that. Although I still think that the nation just eats nature gems like crazy and is not a great thug nation. That is just a little bit of personal perspective there, though. So here we have the research, and actually I was really surprised about this one. They actually finished all the research in the game. That really surprised me. And I started moving out, hundreds of mages, so maybe I shouldn't be too surprised in that. But I am, actually. I'm really surprised at how well they were able to pull it up. But looking at the lines, man, these are very steep lines for very large portions of the game. And here's the amazing thing. Can you tell me where I move my mages out? It's actually pretty easy to see right here, because the line does not incline across here as much, actually starting right here. I'm not sure what happened. I think I had mages turn off right here because it's not inclined as much there. But look at that steep incline. And this is where I send out, I don't know, 200 mages to go attack Yomi. And that's still got that kind of an incline off it. So the power is real in certain areas with this nation. Dominion, obviously not going to show too much because I didn't focus enough on Dominion. I basically just said, okay, I want good Dominion in my lands. Past that, don't care. When I started getting pushed towards the end of the game, I thought, well, I probably need to do a little bit about this. Try to get myself up to a Dom 10 to solve it. And as always, the army size is a useless graph, minus the fact if you just have the graphs turned on in the game, you can see when somebody's really flubbed the expansion. Because you shouldn't see major losses during the expansion unless somebody's really screwed up. And again, I feel that's kind of cheating, because you really know that somebody's a very weak target at that point, or certainly not in the strong position they should be in. Was there anything else I really wanted to discuss? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. I guess I can mention why I think the army size is a useless graph. This is total number of troops. It has nothing to do with the quality. Meaning, if I basically recruited those little 5 gold, not gourd, Markata from the Chitrapalm Oasis, because they are the cheapest thing I could buy, yeah, I could probably, and summon a bunch of troops, I could probably, top TNN here in the number of troops in the world. They're complete shit quality, and I would never do that, but it is actually an option here. So the army size doesn't really tell you anything. I guess maybe if I was better at reading it, it could tell me a little bit, especially in multiplayer. Due to troop prices and stuff, I could have some idea what a player was buying. I'm just going to go ahead and say it's useless, so, overall. So, again, sorry for the crap playthrough, guys. I hope it wasn't too bad on your end of it. And thanks for watching. Hopefully, it's not going to be like another year before I do another one. but I wouldn't count on it being anytime really soon, mostly because I've just been playing a lot of Stellaris and Mordheim, City of the Damned, so getting really stuck up in those games overall. If nobody can tell, I really like strategy games a lot, so if it's a pretty well, even if it's just a decent strategy game. Oh yeah, I've been playing a lot of Warhammer, uh, Total War as well. Anyways, so yeah, I'll get to another playthrough at some point. Probably as much as I don't want to do it. I had a couple people actually ask me on Steam at one point to do MA Airmore, and I don't really. It shouldn't be too hard because MA Airmore is pretty just uh, roll your face on the keyboard. But I don't know. We'll see. That's probably who I'll end up doing next because I did say something like about a year ago. Yeah, I'll do MA Airmore next. And then I never really did finish this one, so I never got around to them. I started some test games, but whatever. I'm carrying on. Sorry about that, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.